Alright, hello everyone, welcome back once again to Mania 4K World Cup 2024. We're at the final match of this finals week. The one that you might have been most anticipating, and it's going to be South Korea versus China to decide on whoever's going to take the podium for the last slot in the for the grand finals week. I'm your commentator, Mifa, and I'll be commentating alongside Lemonade here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Looking really forward to this match. I mean, we have Seed 2 versus Seed 8. I mean, Seed 8 in top 4 already kind of sounds pretty crazy. And I mean, ultimately, China have put on a really good performance. I mean, even just to get this far. So yeah, I think we are in for a good one. Looking at the results from yesterday's matches from both of these teams, we can see that this will be very close. Hopefully, we don't get a 7-0, 7-1 like we have seen already.
Absolutely, and just by looking at close scores for China and South Korea, given their tendency to be able to play like most of these matches, China apparently has a much better consistency on keeping just combo gaming all around. South Korea might have the ACK advantage, but if misses do occur, and they might have been a little bit of a disadvantage. But that is to say, it's not very indicative because of the previous matches, so maybe this will change. This will change probably for South Korea and China here.
Yeah, I mean, South Korea already protecting Race 4, which I'm pretty sure... Oh no, sorry, this is a normal ban for Korea, that is right. And China opting for SV2 as well. I don't think we have really seen any SVs from Korea, so I guess we will be in for something to see how well they have practiced. I mean, even with that, I wouldn't be surprised if they opt to ban SV1 as well.
Yeah, this would be interesting because South Korea also plays quite a bit of a hefty effort for SVs. And no, I mean, absolutely. Like, I guess the difference is that whether or not it's a chicken game between the two teams, if they want to ban SV, but it seems like South Korea is gonna ban Campanella or Longdo too. And China banning like Forsaken Flower, the hybrid one. No SV bans this time.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if we see both teams picking into Rice. I know both of these teams are very capable of getting good scores on these maps, and I would like to say that in both of these matches previously from these teams, that it really did just come down to the miscount. So in this match, we might see the same story where misses kind of be the determining factor. But ultimately, when we're at this caliber of players, if miraculously we get a full lobby, full combo, then it will just be an accuracy game like we've been saying. And I think South Korea do have the slight edge there, but China, I think, do just have that consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this time around, this match is going to be a lot more interesting because of the SV being left out in the open. But South Korea is going to go with their protect immediately with the core jack pick.
I think it's a good pick for South Korea. I mean, their accuracy showed to be really good the last time they played this, so I would like to see them get their first point on the board here.
Yeah, China hasn't played this either, so we only seen South Korea pick this against the Philippines, I believe. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure on China how they're gonna perform because Korchak scores in particular it's just Korchak scores. So no funny business in the terms of struggling in terms of accuracy. It's more of a bad chaining, getting 50s or misses. It's just there's no in between.
Yeah, and a bit unrelated, but I was told yesterday that apparently the player in the top left spot is not actually pronounced GGX or GX or any of that. It's actually Gex. So I apologize for yesterday's match. I'm probably still gonna end up saying GGX regardless because that just sounds more natural to me.
Yeah, I guess that also happens.
And all players ready getting into the map, and honestly, I think there will be a lot of determining factors based on the intro alone. We can kind of see who's got that more comfortable ratio, and that really applies throughout the entire map. And I guess all we can do is really hope that none of these players trip up on those streamy sections. I know it can be very uncomfortable to transition from wrist jack into these streamy motions, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Starting up with the core jack pick right out of the gate, and doesn't seem to be too much of an issue for most of these players, I reckon.
Yeah, everyone off to a relatively good start. Everyone's still managing to hold above that 99.8, although we do have 2 players on South Korea still at that 99.98% mark. Very early accuracy advantage there, and ultimately China, all 3 players down to 9.8. You cannot win on ratio alone. They're going to need to step up their game or really hope South Korea drops some accuracy, as we do see from Score to Trees.
Yeah, that's a bit of an accuracy drop as well. Like I mentioned before, China is basically, they really don't want to miss because of combo consistency, but no, never mind, I don't know, with the first miss already.
Yeah, that very bad miss towards the middle section of the map, and there's another one from Yes Sound Fanboy, and it does not seem likely that South Korea are going to find these misses. I think in their last match as well, they all seemed very consistent. This is kind of their pick. This is their main skill set, I would like to say. They seem very consistent on these core jack picks, and it's really showing in this match.
There's a degradation by Squadron-Strike's accuracy, but there's also a miss by GX, I believe. So the lead's gonna shrink a fair bit, but this already nearing the end of the charge here. I don't think there's much left.
Yeah, that miss from GGX, and yes, on Fanboy is traded back, but ultimately the score lead is way too much, and there's not really much that China can do at this point. Nad with the miss towards the end, and Score to Trace with the only FC on the Korean side.
This time around, Squadron Trace is the only one who actually keeping up the full combo here.
And
interestingly enough.
With Lobby.
What a performance even for one of these teams, even though they have some bit of a struggle on maybe misreading on some of the jacks, but it does seem like to be it's very easy to see why South Korea is very well versed at it.
Yeah, very low miscounts from all players there. I mean, even just a few less misses from either side could make it go either way. That could have been a bit sketchy, but yeah, with a score lead of over 10,000 points, it probably would have needed to been more than just a miss. And China also just going straight into SV2.
Yep, just out the way. Immediately. Yeah, immediately with their protects just already being shown already. Though this time around, South Korea does know their scores, or at least to some extent, making sure that they also able to hang on with to be able to beat some of their accuracies.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this is actually, yeah, like we've been saying, it's actually the first time that we have seen South Korea play this SV in the finals, because I'm pretty sure both SV were banned in their Philippines match. So this SV2 pick could determine whether or not China feel confident to go into the SV1. I know SV1 is, I would say, more memory focused as well. So this could just be to test the waters a little bit.
A bit of a rocky start there for the salutation, a little bit. Also, I'm EU as well.
Yeah, slight accuracy lead towards China here. There was an accuracy drop from IE, but I think it is too early to call. I mean, overall, with just the intro alone, we can kind of see that China have been putting in the work, and never mind, Can You Angel find the miss early on.
This miss is a bit weird because of the long note of my mute letting go of some of it, but even then, that's not gonna do that much to dent the lead over, because of IME is struggling at 97 now. Salutation of the Mr. traded back up.
Yeah, with such a big score lead already towards China, it does seem like they kind of have the upper hand here with IME finding that extra miss along with Salutation. Does not seem likely that they can get back this 35,000 point deficit, but there's always room for that choke. Not too sure what's happening with the score lead at the moment. I think we were seeing a lot of accuracy drops from the South Korean side, but we see some double misses from the Chinese side here. But 60,000 points just doesn't seem all that recoverable. There's still 30 left.
Yeah, I mean he's like below the 96 range now. It's already very hard to recover because the ending is arguably much easier to read. So it's just I guess at this point the lead is already pretty much unrecoverable now.
Yeah, less than the core of the map left to go. 100,000 point lead. China, I mean, they must feel really confident going into SV1 after this, right? With such a dominance performance, it does seem like it's kind of guaranteed in the bag, especially if they have practiced SV1 as much as they have SV2. But, I mean, South Korea could have maybe put more work into SV1 than SV2, so I guess it's not all that safe, but it does look like it. Guardian Angel, I think, leaving the lobby too early there, so...
Yeah, let me just check a little quick. Yeah, there you go. Guardian Angel did submit the score, so ultimately, China's win there, 1-1. But I'm not even sure, because if South Korea leaving out SV1 in the open, then they must have a few tricks up their sleeve. So I don't really count on China having that much of an advantage to SVs.
Yeah, and I just want to give a little mention for .x there. 3 200s. Unfortunate one miss there, but very, very good score. And hopefully, like I said, it can apply to SV1 as well. And South Korea, I would not be surprised if they just keep picking into the right, maybe the more physical side of things. And honestly, because we're in the finals, everything is a lot more physical. They really can just pick any race map, I feel, but I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a map like Fireball. But no one said they do go for Race 1, the speed map.
Yeah, I believe this is also the first time we've seen so far throughout this entire round. We haven't seen speed picks in general. So this could be interesting, as it doesn't really say a whole lot because none of these teams actually played the speed.
Yeah, this map does not let go. It's 2 minutes, 19 seconds of almost never-ending speed. It feels like there are no breaks in this map, and we will have to find out who's got the more stamina, who's got the more consistency, and I would be really surprised to see everyone full combo this, especially at this BPM for this long.
Yeah, it's like 370 BPM, and then star rating is I don't know, man. Yeah, it just feels like the star rating keeps going lower and lower for every speed fix.
Yeah, speed definitely, I think, an underrated skill set with regards to the star rating there. All players ready, and like I say, at this BPM, I think especially with the nerves that some of these players might have, I mean, it's already 1-1. If you're South Korea, you cannot just look at seeding and just think, oh, we've got the upper hand because we're seed 2, they're seed 8. You cannot do that. China actually able to beat out Chile of all teams, and I think they're especially a more late game heavy team as well, which may be the reason why their qualifiers seeding is a lot lower in comparison to their performance here.
When we say that this is a speed pick, reminder that this is 185 30-second streams or 370 BPM equivalent, so it's just keeping up with the speed and keeping up with the consistency, not to miss. It's really what they needed here.
Yeah, as you say that, .x finding the first miss of the lobby right towards the start there hopefully does not impact their team performance so much as it is only at the start. But there's so much of the map left to go. It is over 2 minutes and we're just passing the first quarter now, and like I say, this map does not let go. Everyone's still somehow holding on. We see GGX just dropping a little bit of accuracy there, but overall, these full combos are what most important.
Oh, that's a second miss already for China there. I don't know, taking a bit of a damage in those streams. So it's already like a 5-digit lead so far. So looking good for South Korea here.
Looking very good indeed. The triple full combo versus only China's one. And I mean, everyone in South Korea still up at 99.7. So is everyone from China, but with those misses, it's going to really impact their score, and it's already at 13,000 point deficit halfway through the map. We're going to see some misses from South Korea, but does not seem that likely with how confident they appear to be. But as I say that, GX fighting the first miss.
That's the first miss, but there's only like 2 miss to 1, so it's essentially still in the lead for South Korea. The other 2 players are nailing this very well. Same for Parasol picked up the China side. The lead is still cut down to like about 6,000-ish or 7,000, but doesn't seem anyone would really want to drop the ball.
And Nat, the only one above that 99.8%. Incredible accuracy there. We're in the final section of the map. It's now 5,000.
I'm concerned about GGX's accuracy there. So I keep going lower and lower. There's only this one section remaining. It could define the point for South Korea or China here.
You know, like everyone will full combo the rest of the map, and that was a 6,000 point lead down from a 10,000 point lead towards South Korea there on the back of that one miss from GGX. And ultimately, if we didn't see those misses from China towards the start, then that could have went either way.
Parasol Tree and Squatter Tries 300 count is essentially one-off. Basically a tying score there. The difference between Nat in comparison to every scores in the lobby is just astonishingly good.
Yeah, Nat's ratio, very crazy there. But we look at Dawn X, Parasol Tree, and Scorsa Trees, all their 200 counts, very, very low. And these are the kind of scores that you really want to be getting, especially at this level of difficulty. And China, I would like to say that they actually had a really good chance of taking that point had they not missed towards the start there. But South Korea, with their combos, kind of won them that. And combo, like I said at the start, is probably the most important thing at this level, because we're going to expect misses in all of these maps.
Question would be if China wants to roll with SV, but no, they're going for Distorted Fate. LN4 it is.
I think this is actually not a bad pick when you take into consideration that South Korea did in fact ban LN2, and also China, I'm pretty sure it did actually beat South Korea on this map. When we look at last scores.
5,000 point of a difference in between these two teams playing this same pick. But again, what happens now is what it is now. So essentially, if you win, then you win. But you can kind of tell where the difference between like 6 players in the lobby with how they would similarly perform. But hopefully they can do much better than they did previously.
Yeah, and you know, nerves do play a factor there. Maybe that was more impactful yesterday than today. If these players can get their heads in the game more, then yeah, we could see totally different scores from all of these players. But 5,000 point of a difference from the last round's scores from both of these teams. I mean, 5,000 is one miss, right? So one less miss and it can go either way, but China ultimately do have that slight advantage, and getting right into the map, we can see that China have already got that accuracy over South Korea here.
It can go haywire so quickly because there's so much going on with this pick in particular, and a lot of shields, much of a flams in there, and some of the inverses are very unforgiving.
Yeah, this map is very streamy, long no, and especially towards the end, there's a very big difficulty spike as well, where some of these players can find those misses, and we have seen it before. And
oh my god, South Korea!
Double miss at the same time. That's going to give a huge lead to China. Already, we're not even in the bulk of the map yet.
Yeah, this is what I'm concerned about because of there's so much going on. There's already 2 misses down the line. I'm just worried about what comes next after this. There's still like about 5,000 point lead though, so they're still not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, it's still the triple full combo from China versus South Korea's only one from that. Nami finding yet another miss on a seemingly easier section, although this is kind of jacky LNs, can be very hard to hit, but everyone else manages to get through it, and that miss already is giving another 3,000 point lead towards China, making it up to 8,000 in total. We're now at the break section, building up for the ending, and can all of China hold on to their combos?
There's still quite a bit, like a last third of the chart left. These are getting a little bit crazier with the flams and some of the dumpy street patterns here. Looks like everyone's able to hang on the fair bit. No one breaking, and then there we go.
Yeah, here we go into the more speedy section of the map, the ending of the map. 7,000 point lead. South Korea are trying to bring it back, but everyone is still managing to hold on to their combos somehow, some way. 8,000 point lead into the final few seconds. There's still about
99.5. Everyone's at 99.5 with Citra with the second drop on their side. China though, look at that! Look at those! Those scores are insanely quick. Those are three-way FC. Excuse me, how did you 3 AFC like this? There's no way that this happened.
The triple FC from China there, and I mean, even just the 200 counts as well, very consistent across all the players. I mean, with only 9, but those misses will cost a lot of score, as we can see here, and combo is king, especially in a map like this, and China tying the score up 2-2. If we keep seeing this back and forward, we may actually have a tiebreaker in this game.
2-2 is the scoreline, and you know, at some point China will have a little bit of a relief because the other LN picks might be favorable. But this time around, we're picking on the next new pick we haven't seen this entire round. Stamina galore.
Yeah, this map is very jump stream heavy, but there are a few little speedy rolls kind of chucked in the mix there, and this map has no breaks until the very end. It's very similar to Rice 1 in that regard, where it's just non-stop parents thrown right at you, except this one is 4 minutes.
Not to mention that even the BPM jump between black chocolates and this holy orders is like a almost whopping 20 or even more than 20 BPM. So that's kind of we're actually upping the ante here for both of these teams in terms of physicality and the mental stamina they have to deal with this kind of monstrosity.
And I think on a pick like this, because it is solely based on consistency and trying to hold on to that combo, when it comes to jump stream, it tends to not be the most physically demanding besides the stamina aspect of things, right? So I think China actually do have a shot of taking this point. If I were South Korea, I'd probably go more into the harder picks that you're more likely to miss on because of the difficulty of the patterns. But this one, I think China have actually got a shot here.
Yeah, this also comes. This also comes with a fairly high risk because of picking stamina into like pick number 5 here. Especially stamina comes into play. You know that these players are really tiring themselves up.
Yeah, I can imagine maybe they're already tired based on what's already been played. I could definitely imagine that being the case, especially with nerves playing a factor, but already straight into the map. And this is kind of the slow intro just to get you ready, just for a good transition into the higher BPM jump streams.
Intro is basically kind of irrelevant. Once we get into the jump stream, it's a little bit like this. It's starting to pick up a little bit later down the line, so it's mostly just keeping up with the consistency.
Yeah, and it's so well balanced between all these players here. Besides the outliers from NAD, GGX still holding about that 99.95%. Very consistent accuracy so far, although with a map this long, even a few 200s can lower that significantly. So this lead is very much so irrelevant.
Yeah, we're still like not even like the first quarter in, and just these, you have to deal with these patterns, and sometimes you even deal with like some streams in between, which in like a trademark by Lemon as well, and maybe Valdic will also work on most of the stream patterning in here as well. So there's also that to watch out for.
Everyone's still holding on to that full combo. I did see some accuracy jump there from I don't know, but overall, everyone is still sitting comfortably around that 99.8%. It's kind of just NAD versus .x at this point, and NAD still crushing it with the 99.95, almost halfway through into the map.
Yeah, still going on, and there's no lead still. I mean, come on now. I mean, we haven't hit the most of the... I guess these patterns are a little bit dense, but now Squatter Trade is actually dropping a fair bit now. China's in the lead by a fair bit, and Nat is also taking a bit of damage here as well.
Yeah, Nat dropped quite a few 200s there, and that is going to give the lead over to China on the back of Don X. Is still holding on to 99.9.
GGX with the first miss!
GGX with that first miss, 99.7% already. That's going to be a huge lead towards China, although still 2 minutes with the map left. One singular miss at any point.
This stream patterns like this! Stream patterns, oh god, there's a lot of 200s by I don't want, and GGX as well. Squatter Trade is also taking a bit of fair damage here. And Don X is beating against Nat here. Parasol Tree is keeping up with Squatter Trade.
Yeah, all players managed to get through that section, and Don X finally found that miss to trade it back. This is still, I think China might have the slight lead ever so slightly. It's so balanced, and there's still over a quarter of the map left.
There's still last third of this now, like a 1,000 point lead is still very negligible. Oh. I don't know, with another miss as well, South Korea has going to take the edge out of that.
Yeah, I don't know what finding that miss towards the final quarter of the map as well.
These patterns are getting much denser.
Yeah, there's almost no break in this map. The 2,000 point lead is ever so slightly increasing towards Korea. We're going to need to see another miss come out, and we do from GGX as well. It's straight back towards China. Now they have the lead. Can they hold on for the rest of the map?
This is the last quarter here. Last quarter is not getting any easier. GGX is also not getting any fair bit of breather here. 4,000 points of lead towards China here. Squatter takes another miss. I guess the first miss on their side. Nat is the only one to be able to hang on to get with Parasol Tree.
Yeah, and that's the only break of the map out the way, only a few seconds long. China have the 14,000 point lead on South Korea's pick. They just need to hold on for the final few seconds of the map, and they can take the first break point of this match. It seems likely. Everyone's still holding on to that combo.
15,000 point lead, there's not much left in the chart, there's only these streams remaining, but they are able to triumph against this pick. That's a breakpoint for China right there, 3-2.
China taking the first breakpoint of this match against South Korea.
Come on!
Don X choking the V1SS on a map like this.
How did you do that? Oh my god.
Oh my goodness, still beaten up by Nad with his full combo, 6 200s, but if Dodex hadn't fired that miss, that would have been a crazy score to have this late into the tournament, but ultimately did not matter. They still took the point regardless of that miss.
China's looking very, very good right now, especially if you take a point on the stamina pick, but no, they're sticking with the Ellens right now. This is the one that both of these teams also did play. So, be on the lookout.
Yeah, and as I was saying, that map did seem like a very big risk for South Korea to take, and ultimately it did not pay off. But going straight into LN1, China wasting no time. And speaking of time, this map is a timing hell. Very hard to act, and there are also some one-hand trills kind of mixed in there towards the middle of the map, and that could easily throw people off.
This is a bit of a fun fact that China won this pick by like 1,000 points. China just purely on previous scores, they won by like 1,000 points.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a really close one, and 1,000 points is almost nothing. South Korea do have that chance to take that point back that they lost on Rice 3 just there. But if they're gonna do it, I think this is the one map to do it on, and this map does kind of compare with regards to the length. It is saying at 3 minutes 22 seconds, so we can't see go back and forward at any point.
Yeah, of course, Turks will be able to come back in as they the highest score on China is by Turks, and it's also with a full combo. So you would notice that he'd go immediately be able to shred this and keeping up with the rest of the team.
Yeah, and it seems like all players are getting ready here, and I mean, who do we think is going to take this point? I think China may have the ball rolling, especially on the back of that last point, knowing they have the break point. That can definitely give a lot of confidence and motivation to keep going, really. But South Korea are definitely, they have to be on edge right now. They've lost the break point, and if they do keep trading it back and forth, then they will lose the match. They need to take that point back, and like you said about 1,000 score difference, that could happen on this map.
Yeah, so don't sleep on one of these teams because it can go either way very quickly.
And we're already up to a very decent start. We do see some very heavy act drops from Nad, but it is ultimately traded from Parasol Tree.
Yeah, so like these kind of patterns, you just really want to watch out on not overholding so much because accuracies are pretty dominant for South Korea right now.
And as you see that Citra actually finding the first miss there very early on in the map, and because of this accuracy lead that they seem to have, it might not cost them that much points. As we see, he's just above the 400 combo cap now, and it is only a couple hundred points towards China, still flicking back and forth regardless of that miss.
South Korea is trying to force their lead because of sheer accuracy, so there's still quite a bit on the line, so that miss is kind of negated a little bit.
And everyone else holding onto that combo beautifully. And like I said about timing hell, very hard to act, but I'm Yi with tied with Turks, and Turks finding that miss to trade it back from Citra earlier on down the line, almost halfway through the map. 3,000 point lead to South Korea. I'm Yi with the highest accuracy.
Donex
finding another miss.
Donex did the miss. Turks also like with the miss earlier. This is definitely not a stronger performance like previously, but again, like a 6,000 point lead, it's still like not even that much of a lead.
Yeah, but it is rising. South Korea, I do think, have that edge in the accuracy side of things. On the back of IME, still holding on to that full combo with a 99.66, and now Nad trying to get above the 9.6 mark as well. But still over half of the chart left to go. 8,000 point lead can seem like nothing, especially when we see some misses come up from South Korea, potentially.
Yeah, these patterns are still rivaling. Everyone is pretty much manhandling this so well. Like, no damage whatsoever. Even then, I guess the Parasol Tree might have taken a fair bit of few 200s on their side. Even still with the full combo, that's still very impressive. But now we're at the 5-digit lead for South Korea here. They need to really step up the game. But Turks picking with another miss on their side.
Yeah, and those are the one-hand trolls I was talking about, and Turks finding another miss, giving a huge lead towards South Korea here, but Citra actually trades that one back, but Parasol Tree also finding that miss. South Korea now the only full combos in the lobby with 2 of them from Nad and I'm Yi.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, Nad's now losing the full combo, only 1 left on the side of I'm Yi there. At this point, like the lead's kind of cut down a fair bit, but it's still quite a hefty lead they got there.
13,000 points, very convincing lead. Definitely not something that we would have seen in their previous matches when we look at the 1,000 score point difference, and South Korea will take back that break point from Rice 3.
Wow. 3-3. South Korea did perform much better than previously, and Just look at that. 12
Wow.
200s. Citra with 9 as well. But keep in mind that these are break points back to back, so we're still on deadlock.
Yeah, and South Korea managing to take that point back, and now it's their pick as well. And like I was saying earlier, I would like to see South Korea go into the more difficult picks with regards to patterning. I think they have definitely got a good shot there. Whereas China, I mean, after losing LN1, what did they kind of pick next now? Because I'm sure they must have felt pretty confident after LN4, and then they managed to find that win in Rice 3 as well. I feel like the doors have really just opened up for, I mean, both of these teams. It kind of just seems like you can pick anything and it'll always be that close where any team can win.
Yuri Itai might be like a decent pick for South Korea. Fireball is way too risky. Zigguras is also too risky. So the only thing that I can find to be able to be picked is hybrids. But yeah, Yuri Itai is the pick by South Korea. By 7 it is.
Yeah, and I did say in the previous match from South Korea here that Rice 7 is kind of a Jack map in disguise. There is a lot of Jack patterns, but there's so many trills kind of mixed into it as well. And on the back of South Korea's Rice 4 performance, they actually played this map yesterday and also got a really good team score on this map. So yeah, I think this is definitely a safe option for them, as long as they don't find those misses, as long as they don't choke. I know China is very consistent when it comes to comboing things, so South Korea need to not let that happen now.
I mean, after what happened with Holy Orders in like the stamina pick, I I have much less of a belief here.
Yeah, though, comparing this map to Stamina, this map is only 2 minutes long, just barely 2 minutes long, versus a Stamina being over 4 minutes, so this is a lot of difficulty condensed into one map here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I believe also China didn't play these either, so South Korea will have unknown knowledge about their scores.
Yeah, and all players ready, and I think similarly to Race 4, we can kind of see who's more comfortable in this type of pick, just based on the intro alone, but that does not mean that misses will not come later down the line. Everyone, okay, everyone hitting the Scorcher's finding that miss, and yes, and Fanboy losing a lot of accuracy, and also finding that miss.
Well. It's traded out, surprisingly. Now the lead is still pretty much on banking on 99.9s on Nat and GDX here.
Those are very bizarre misses to find that early on in the map, but I mean, overall, South Korea do have that really good accuracy on the back of Nat, and GGX still holding with that 99.9.
Yeah, we'll see, because as what happens to in regards to Cortex, I don't know what I as a first miss on their side.
Yeah, it's another miss from the China side here. 10,000 point lead towards South Korea already in a 2-minute chart. This is quite a big lead to give already, but in a map so short, it can be easily given back on the back of maybe just 1 or 2 misses. And there still is over half the chart left to go.
It's still like half of the chart, but it seems a fair bit accuracy. Squadron takes a second miss on their side though. Might start to flip it over a little bit. GGX has a lot of accuracy drops right there. Now the lead speed cut down to like equilibrium here.
Yeah, Score the Street's still not about the 400 combo cap, but the score lead is only 1,000
Yes,
points, but
Fanboy
trades it back. It's now 7,000 back to South Korea. There is still a core of the map left. A singular miss can put that score lead back over.
Now the lead is coming back in again to like a 5-digit there after that miss what Nyasa Fanboy did earlier.
Yeah, it's now up to 10,000 points. South Korea is still managing to maintain really good accuracy as we enter the closing section of the map. These one-hand trills are not easy for any of these players, but everyone still manages to hold on to the combo, and South Korea will take that point. That was very sketchy. That was very close until the very end there.
Come on! V1SS for both! Donex and Nad! Now we're back on track. South Korea did win their own pick.
Why are these players V1 double S'ing in the finals pool on race 7? Those trills mixed in with the jack patterns, not easy at all to play, and these players just say, nah, I eat that for breakfast.
Oh god, okay. Now the chicken game comes along here for China. Are they gonna stick with LNs? Or are they gonna go SB? But now, they're having a little bit of a time for themselves because they're calling a tactical timeout. A good place to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, after losing on LN1 and now just losing on race is kind of like, what do we pick if we're China, right? We did have a really big lead on SV2, but something is kind of putting me off on the reason why they haven't picked SV1, especially after having 100,000 point lead on SV2. That would, to me, seem like it would make the most sense, but maybe they haven't put in as much practice. Maybe they expected South Korea to ban it, but overall, I mean, there could be many reasons.
It does seem to me that China will most likely try to hold like a hang on to SV1 if it's necessarily needed, because there are some rice picks that China can potentially win on. Like Zigguros is like kind of one of the more obvious ones of the rice picks. Fireball is like a toss-up. Place of this world is kind of also a toss-up. So either that or just like the SV. I don't necessarily know that China will pick LNs in this case. Hybrid is a bit of a question.
Yeah, we've not seen any hybrids come out yet, and there's only one LN map left, and China will have 2 picks remaining if South Korea do manage to take the next 2 points. So China still have a bit of breathing room here, and like you said about the hybrids, they're still kind of untouched, but China did ban hybrid 1, so maybe it's not something they want to go down, but at some point you need to think about, okay, we have just lost in race, we've just lost in LN, we kind of need to try something new. So whether that be LN3 with the different patterns, very short LNs, or maybe into a rice map that maybe, like you were saying, is a toss-up but still manageable for China to take. Overall, I think any of these picks could come out.
I'm more so expecting SV here, just because they want to catch their momentum from start, because they have been picking Rise, they've been playing LNs, and SV is being like the first pick that China did. It might be a good time to switch things over.
Yeah, but this tactical timeout as well could just be giving China more time to practice the SV. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? We have seen it before.
I guess.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, any map I could see being picked. And ultimately, if this match does remain as close as it is, all of these maps will be picked regardless before we see the tiebreaker. So I guess that's kind of something, that's one less thing to worry about, as long as China can just get these picks.
Alright, the pick has to come out now, and we will get the answer about a few seconds now. Let's see, what do we have?
Yeah, hopefully they pick soon, otherwise it will be rolled randomly. But no,
there we go!
SV1.
There's SV! Alright, the first time we've seen now on this entire round. This is a chicken game, and China is brave enough to break that chicken game here.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, this map is quite short. Yeah, 2 minutes, and I feel like with this map, it's kind of over before you know it. It's a lot of build up into the main Ki, which is very much so kind of the same throughout the map, and then it kind of just ends. So I think we'll be able to see as soon as we get into the main Ki who is more comfortable, just as we've seen on SV2.
Something tells me that South Korea doesn't look like they're happy about it, because it's the same roster, right, with the like the SV2 earlier on, and like the lowest performer for SV2 is like IME, like on the side like 95%. Either that, or is it just something like a lack of practice, or is it just like a bluff? But I would like to be proven with the latter one. But we'll see though. This is the first time we've been picked, and let's see how their scores are on this.
Yeah, and like you were saying about bluff, I mean, China are picking this only now for a reason. Why didn't they pick it earlier when they had such a lead on SV2? Maybe they didn't feel as confident as they did on SV2, but
Okay, yep. Yeah. All right. I don't think Sakura is kind of prepared for all of the notes earlier. I guess maybe, sorta. I guess because of accuracy is kind of low because of the first notes here.
yeah, I'm finding very big accuracy drops towards the start that are giving already a rather large
there you go.
China and finding that miss as well. I think we're about to see maybe a similar performance as we did see on SV2. Seems like it will be a very comfortable pick for China to take on.
Yeah, China did. I believe China did make the right call to pick to break that momentum of picking like a lot of the physical picks that we've seen earlier. So we're just playing with something a little bit more lighthearted this time.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm maybe sight reading or just hasn't put a
No,
whole
that
lot
is
of practice
that is
in.
definitely not a side read. I mean, it did hit that ghost earlier like quite flawlessly, so that's not a side read.
I don't know, man. I think we've seen it a lot throughout the tournament, so I wouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, you're right. It does seem a little bit comfortable knowing some of these patterns.
You know, like you would notice that if you side read, that all these players will not be able to hit that.
You're right. You're right.
But this, wow, actually got you Angel though. 0.86 this far in.
Yeah, and Amyi is actually bringing that back up now, but overall, when you have China, everyone's still holding above 99.4 at least, and South Korea haven't got a single one to match that. This is a very big score for China here with 93,000 point advantage towards them. And yeah, like I was saying, it's a very similar performance to SV2 here. This is kind of an expected point for China.
Ganyu Angel's my favorite player in the entire tournament. Look at that, V1SS, just like that. It's easy as that. And China is now back on track as well. So we're now at a best of 5.
Yeah, that's a crazy team score from China there. 4 200s, 6 200s as well. I mean, when you look at South Korea, all three players beat South Korea's best score there. They have definitely put in really good practice into SV1, and now it's South Korea's pick. Now we are tied back up to 4-4, and they're most likely going to pick into one of these rice, I would like to imagine.
See, the thing is that if China pick SV as the momentum breaker, South Korea will have ample time to respond with their own, especially when these two hybrids are just sitting out in the open.
Yeah, and I will say, playing an SV and then going immediately back into a more physically demanding race or even hybrid map can feel a bit weird. And yeah, South Korea will respond with a timeout of their own. I think all these picks are starting to get a bit risky for both of these teams. It can go either way at this point.
Now, South Korea is now marrying with China's strategy here. Responding with a timeout, they pick SV and responding with another timeout.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy situation to be in. South Korea, you know it's your pick, you know that the scoreline is tied 4-4, and any one pick can be your demise if you give it away for free. China will then have to get their own pick and can even make it 6-4 for them. So I think this very next pick will be the most important pick for South Korea.
Now this begs the question that China has exhausted every SV. What did they go with? Because the rice picks, I don't think they would try to touch LN3, especially if it's very physical demanding. But I've been proven wrong because they picked Distorted Fate and did win and then trumping enhancement is so much different than the rest of them. Every LN pick so far, and I do believe that the Rice picks they also have the advantage. But again, their picks have been kind of been running thin.
Yeah, I mean, it has seemed that way for a lot of this map, but just by knowing how close these scores are. But if China don't want to go for the line and instead go for a hybrid, I would not be surprised to see a hybrid 3 potentially come out. But overall, this is South Korea's pick that we're looking at, and yeah, I feel like it kind of has to be a Rice map here. Kind of follow the same theme that they've been going for throughout this match. Keep that consistency on these maps. And I mean, with these last few Rice maps that South Korea have played, they have seemed to be very consistent and getting that good accuracy, good combos over China. But China, they did take Rice 3, so they can still do it on any one of these other maps.
In regards to South Korea's pick, I do believe that picking Ziggurat's distribution is unwise. So essentially, okay, they're going with Snail Chain Adventure. Now we're entering the realm of hybrids. Also the first time being picked.
Yeah, so maybe not feeling so confident that they can take points off China on the Rice maps. There's still 3 maps left in that pool, and this really goes to show just how matched both of these teams are when we take into consideration that we are now delving into different territories. South Korea is picking hybrid after being so dominant on these Rice maps throughout the tournament. So yeah, China can't just take this. China can take it on Rice, they can take it on LN, but so can Korea. I think this is anyone's game.
Yeah, unexplored territory it is. None of these teams have played this one, but China did play on the hybrid 3, one shot, one kill. So South Korea might go with the decision to pick this just because it's more physically demanding than the hybrid 3. It's kind of the point, because of South Korea's physicality hit through the roof here.
Now, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but this map is not so demanding with the LNs. It's mainly playing the Rice in between the LNs that makes it very difficult to play.
Yeah, I guess, well, in fairness, like one shot, one kill it's like the least of them demanding physically, but it's complex enough that you kind of restrain yourself to a point that you're playing like a weirdish like long note pick that is almost feels like a non-straightforward hybrids. Like every other FOLA maps, like one shot, one kill in particular, this is like the most striking offender of that principle.
Yeah, so it is, and we are going into Hybrid 2 here, and this map in itself 3 minutes 21 seconds long. We have seen some longer maps already played, and it did seem like it was going one way, but then switched towards the end, right at the end of the map. So, I mean, we've seen it throughout the tournament as well. It's not just in this match, and we might be seeing an early lead towards South Korea or China here, but do not give up any hope for the opposing team.
Staring dead in the eye for misses, because it can happen. Some random misses on the shields or whatever, because this pick is kind of that way.
Yeah, and as I was saying, it's this map, the LNs kind of play like Rice in some way, but Citra is finding that miss early on, and bear in mind, this is South Korea's pick. Finding that miss early on now gives a very good kind of score lead to China. They do have a bit of leeway. Yes,
that's a trade.
Does find that miss, but it is traded by Citra yet again. It is now just still even Citra with another
Oh my god!
miss.
Citra is having a fair bit of problems in, I guess, hitting the shields most likely. So does Yasin Fanboy and I'm Yi taking another trade, but that's a miss, like a missed trade even. So like there's still 2 FCs against 1. Oh my god, that's 3 misses like in the simultaneous positions.
Yeah, the exact same spot. Yasin Fanboy
oh wow,
on X as well, and these were not very nice misses, although Citra is still down to 9.3. He's kind of the same as the Yasin fanboy, but he has brought it back up now. It's a 2,000 point
The lead is gonna shrink ever so slightly.
The 400 combo cap.
The lead is gonna shrink ever so slightly because the only top players in the lobby right now is still holding it.
Yeah, it's only 2,000 points with this. We are halfway
now
to
with the last miss. Don X also taking a trade there. There's only one FC in this lobby right now, and I'm really concerned because the accuracy is now in the South Korea's favor.
Yeah, for the first time in this match, it is actually going back
oh my
towards
God.
South Korea here. It is so very close. Everyone is about that 400 combo cap. Now it's totally dependent on accuracy. If all players manage to hold on to that combo, but this map is over 3 minutes long. We're still only just halfway through.
It's still halfway. I guess the last third now remaining. These patterns, Citra is not having the best time on that shield leader. Yasin fanboy did hit earlier on because I feel like the first shield iteration, Yasin fanboy did not get that shield.
Yeah,
these patterns, dude. I mean, as well, the trade is, I guess not a trade, but it's still like a couple of accuracy draws. But China, though, now is still hitting the shields even much better than before.
And Parasol Tree still holding on to that combo, 4,700, much higher than anyone else. And
wow.
Yasin fanboy does find another miss. It's still 5,000 points. That is not going to be the deciding factor here. We'll need to see another miss to give it back to South Korea. But can they hold on?
South Korea is going to take it back on accuracy? South Korea is going to take it back on accuracy here. Now the lead's being cut down.
It's only 3,000 points, and this is South Korea's pick. China do have the chance to get another break.
Watch out for these shields!
Only a few seconds left of the map to go.
3,000 points lead! Come on, there's still one more patterns like this remaining. It's gonna come down to the wire, I feel. These shields. Oh my God! Is it me enough? Oh my God! China's taking it. The break point as well. Now 5-4. And China's in a very, very advantageous position right now. Parasol Tree with the full combo to clutch it out against South Korea.
That is one hell of a performance to put out, especially with these stakes being 4-4. And it is South Korea's pick and China taking the third breakpoint of this match. And now it's their pick. They can pick, I think Hybrid 3 might be the best shot for China here, but South Korea now, if they want a chance to win, they're going to need to take that back.
Against all odds, China knew that their hybrids are still able to take down South Korea. But one shot, one kill is a different kind of hybrid though. So I'm not even sure if they're gonna go with it. I do feel Ziggurat's distribution is a much better pick than the hybrid. But again, yeah, there you go. Right. Ziggurat's distribution it is. We're now going to the FFR jump stream pick.
Yeah, after taking that point on Hybrid 2, your Hybrid 3 is a lot different, but they do not have that same confidence as they do on Rise 2. And this is China's first time picking into the Rise, and it is going to be a toss-up. Like you said earlier, this is going to be a close one, I feel, and with China being the one to pick this map, South Korea, they've been picking Rice the entire time, so do not count them out of it. Just because this is China's pick does not mean that they will be able to trump South Korea that easily.
Also, I do want to remind everyone that China's score on Ziggurat's distribution is the highest among every other 5 teams that have played this round. Because specifically, I do believe that's also a 3-way FC from this jump stream pick. So this is like the more obvious pick in this kind of scenario.
Yeah, and if you're South Korea right now, you kind of are relying a lot on the fact that you're able to take this pick. This is only 2 minutes long. It is on the kind of shorter side of things relative to the other maps we have seen thus far in the match, and overall with this map, I mean, it could really go either way, and this is just scary. This is just scary.
This is also a fairly high stakes pick, especially when considering the fact that this chart's last 15 seconds it's the densest among every other sections in the chart because of just dense jumps every eighth, and 280 BPM is doesn't make it any easier. And here we go. Let's see what China can do and try to get to a potential match point here.
Yeah, with a lot to play for, a lot on the line, we see China having the slight accuracy advantage there, but that will not play a role when we get into the bulk of this map. Still waiting on the main Kia. It does pick up very fast, 280 BPM.
Here we go.
Yeah, everyone holding on strong, still holding on to that combo across the board, but South Korea did manage to take back that score lead, but the accuracies are still so close.
Oh my god.
Parasol Tree finding the accuracy.
I don't know what I... That's the first miss on the Chinese side here, but even then, you still don't really have to sweat too much because of the patterns are not even any easier.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about this map besides it is just really fast jump stream, really fast speed thrown in there, and it really is just kind of consistent throughout the map, and we're past the halfway mark now. South Korea with the 8,000 point lead. If they want to take that breakpoint back, now would be the time to do it, but Citra finds a really good miss!
Citra with a really bad misread. There's still the streams left though, so I guess there's still ample time to recover from that. But that accuracy drop is way devastating here.
That was a really nasty
miss. Oh my god, that's a bad... That's a bad misread on the trill. Here we go, I guess...
left to go, and there's still the
dense jump stream comes right up here. This dense jump stream is not one to let up. You don't really want to miss here. Everyone hits it.
All full combos across the board on that final section there, and 23,000 points. There is still one section at the end, but it does not seem likely that China can give back such a huge lead.
Oh my god.
It's going to be 6-4.
China on the cusp of taking that podium spot right here, and South Korea will have to battle out with the next two picks. And look at that, Don X to the V1S says as well, Nat 106-300, Squadron Tricks missing out of the V1SS. These are stellar scores, but that's just not enough to combat with like a bad misread by Citra earlier.
Yeah, that might have cost them that point overall. When you look at China's scores, they have a 996 and a 991 versus South Korea's highest score being 995. So they still have the accuracy advantage over two of their players. Maybe not much could have been done there, but now if you're South Korea, it's still your pick. You can still make this 5-6, and then regardless, you'll have to take that breakpoint back somehow. But there's only one map left in each category.
Yeah, there's two. On the right side, I don't know is South Korea's picking place in this world? I don't know if they're gonna go with Fireball, because it's like the most just gut-wrenching type of situation. Especially it's just under 90 seconds.
Yeah, I think Rice 6 might actually be the call for South Korea here. I would like to say that it is somewhat similar to Rice 1, but it is just a bit easier with that regard. But overall, they did take that point, so I think LN or Hybrid might just be a bit too risky, especially when you need a point right now.
And I do remind everyone that timeouts do not exist anymore. Both of these teams already picked their tactical timeouts mid into the match, in the middle of the game. So essentially they have to pick right there. Oh, they're going Fireball! Oh my god! This is way this is very unpredictable, and you're gambling on it.
Yeah, we kinda were expecting to see a Rice map there regardless, but that being Fireball, I think this is definitely a more physical map, and chokes are prone to happen in South Korea. Maybe just playing on that card, and I know the ending of this map does get very crazy, so we'll have to see if South Korea can hold on to their combos, because at this point in time, that is what they need. That is what they desperately need to get that point back and make it 5-6. Don't worry about the next point, worry about now, and just get through it one map at a time.
Yeah, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, and I think that's South Korea is saying right now. So essentially, you're not missing much, especially because of this pick in particular isn't very long. So essentially, they're playing on very high stakes here because if you lose, China wins the match.
Yeah, there's all to play for, nothing, all to lose, sorry, but this is potentially South Korea's last map in this tournament. If they do not take this point, they need this point now, and this can happen very quickly on a map that is only 1 minute 32 seconds long.
Lend your support for both of these teams because they are essentially are most likely for China writing another history for books here.
Yeah, the battle for the podium spot. South Korea do have the slight lead there, and this map does save very, very fast throughout the entire map. But it's going back for GGX finding the first miss.
Here.
South Korea side.
That's the first miss, but I guess it does happen before the 400 though, so the only thing that is good for them is to miss this early. But we're now entering the second half of this now.
Yeah, with the map being so short, 12,000 point lead isn't actually all that much. That one miss could give that lead back, but if we're gonna see it, we need to happen now. I don't know what did find a very big accuracy drop there, bringing it down to just about 9,000 points.
What a trick! That's a very bad miss on the break! That's a very bad drop on the break here. That's essentially kind of losing the chance to come back here.
But there's still the ending. The ending gets
But there's like a 20,000 point lead here. 20,000 point lead, and there's still this one pattern remaining, and China will have to able to hit all of these now.
22,000 point lead into the final few seconds of the map. It does not seem like they're going to miss the triple.
Oh my god! 3-way SC! Oh my god! What is this team score by China? And China wins the match against South Korea with the massive upset, 7-4, beating out the second seed of the this entire tournament. That's a V1 double S as well for Donex. That's a clutching performance there. Even though Nat takes the MVP because of better ratio, but China, the first iteration, comes up on top, the top 3 podium here.
What a crazy performance from Donex throughout this entire match. I think we've seen so many V1 double S's from this player. And yeah, the seeding upset, 8 versus 2, and to win it in style, 7-4. This actually went back and forth so much, and I genuinely believe this deserved a tiebreaker, but China just on those last few maps really put on a unfathomable performance.
In against all odds, China will have to face the grand finalists now, and it's going to be Thailand, and whoever wins on that will have to battle it out and waiting to match against United States on that bracket as well. So that's also going to be the last match for this entire weekend, and you know what? That's one for the history books right there, and I'm very much down with it for China being able to take the top 3, and I'm super happy for them.
Yeah, and top 3 having now already been decided. China versus Thailand next weekend to decide who will make it into the top 2 spot, and then onwards to fight against the United States. So, with that being the end of this match, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I do want to say that, again, we're never tired of saying this, but we still have available banners here on the OSU store. I do believe that. because essentially this might be the final weekend to be able to purchase those banners. So you can stack those banners, you can purchase them to support your favorite teams, especially these two teams right here, South Korea and China, battling it out to get to top 3. They do really deserve those kinds of support. And you know, if any of those 3 teams on the grand finalists are able and win the Mania 4K World Cup 2024, you be able to keep that particular banner until next year. So essentially, these kinds of supports do really mean worthwhile for these teams available.
Yeah, with that being said, buy your banners and stay tuned for next week for we have Thailand versus China. And that'll be it from us. So enjoy the rest of your morning, evening, or night, guys.
Yeah, take care, guys, and see you at the showcase.